Hey everybody, it's Rob here. I have just finished my second 30-hour stream into the Diablo 4 launch. And as you guys can see, I'm in key overshot right now. And we made it all the way to character level 100. And we were the fastest player to do so on softcore. So we have won. There was a sort of like, there was no in-game leaderboard, there was like a sort of unofficial race of multiple websites, and a lot of people blasted and grinded hard. The softcore race I finished with 54 and a half hours. I'll show you some footage in a bit here. And the hardcore race currently is still going on. Here right now, Vodijo is leading and he's playing a rogue. Obviously, I did the Barbarian, just like you guys know from this channel. So we were blasting, and there's a couple different strategies that I quickly want to talk about. And then there's also an even bigger and more controversial topic about the entire like nerfs that happened. There's been a recent patch here from Blizzard, and yeah, let's just get into it. So first of all, on the 99 to 100 race here, this is some footage of the last level. And as you guys can see here, we were farming the dungeon Champion's Demise. And this one was in particularly efficient because you could split the entire like first room basically. So we had one player going into each direction and just farming the dungeon, getting the XP. And the one thing that is special in these instance kind of content is that the XP is completely shared between all the party members. So even if you are far away from somebody, you still get all the XP. So we were kind of split farming the full dungeon. And keep in mind, this is like 4-player HP right here. And I was basically playing the one version of the Whirlwind Barb that I made a lot of videos about. And this worked really well, and we managed to farm very fast. It took me, again here you can see the timer, 54 hours. And then we're hitting it right about here. We were grinding it out, farming all this goats and the little worms. They were really good XP. Spiders. And where's the ding? Twitch chat was pretty hyped. We had a big stream going, and you can see here I am basically pulling a bunch of monsters behind me. I'm using the Grasping Whirlwind to sort of like gather all the monsters together and then killing them with the Gore gloves and my Whirlwind Bleeds. Yeah, the Twitch chat, as you can see here, was going crazy. Thanks again for everybody who was there. Big support. And we had like a GG arrow shrine here at the end. This is probably next to the conduit. It's probably even better in the conduit, this shrine. And you can see here the AoE clear and just the speed is just crazy. And this was already after the nerfs that we will talk about right now. And there we got it. Level 100 in 54 and a half hours, roughly. So while this race was going on, there have been several hotfixes from Blizzard, not only to the Barb, but to a lot of classes. We'll have the full hotfix links, the patch notes, all linked in the description below. We will just give a short overview about the Barbarian one and what they might mean for the class. So first of all, you can see here the challenging shout, which is our big cry, basically, our shout that does give us all the damage reduction and allows the Barbarian to survive on a high level. Without this shout, as the Barbarian has to be in middle range all the time, he dies very quickly. So this has been a significant nerf, 50% down per rank. And this means the Barbarian is going to have a pretty hard time surviving, as you guys have seen in my Greater Rift Challenge Rift 100 video. It's basically very tough already, even with the good challenging shout to survive. And this one will make it even harder. And not only has the damage reduction been reduced, Also, the Bold Chieftain has lost almost all the cooldowns. So you go from 5.4 seconds down to 1.9. This is like divided by 3 almost. So maximum of 2 seconds. You go down by 50% here, but you need even more enemies to sustain. So it's really hard on a boss fight already. And now it's gonna be basically impossible to keep your shouts permanently. On top of that, there's been 2 specific nerfs to the Whirlwind Barbarian, which we were playing, and a lot of other people were playing, because there was a lot of hype about it, and it is a very strong build, or it has been a very strong build. The crit chance of the aspect of Dire has been slightly reduced. This one is not that big a change, but obviously it's going to hurt the build. And then the next big one here is the Gore Devastating Grasp. This has been the gloves that everybody's been talking about, because it was producing these damage numbers in the hundreds of millions or even in the billions. And Blizzard reacted pretty quickly here, and they removed... First of all, they added a cap. So you can only stack up to 100 ticks of Whirlwind. And keep in mind, Whirlwind does 3 ticks every second. So these 100 hits, you can stack up pretty fast if you are hitting like 10, 20, 30 monsters, which is not unheard of. So if you're hitting 30 monsters and you're hitting like 3 times a second, you can basically reach this cap in just 1 second. So it's pretty significant. And yeah, it's going to change the playstyle. You're going to basically release the explosions a lot more often now. And we will see what further implications this have. Damage against wreckable objects no longer increases explosion damage. Yeah, this is probably a very good change. I've not really noticed that this was happening, but it's a good change. And then the damage itself was also significantly reduced from 70 to 26%. So I've continuously tried this out in-game. And here are the new stats. This is how they look now. So yeah, it still does some damage, this explosion, but as it's not scaling with some of your multipliers, its damage is pretty on the low end. And the same is here for the Bold Chieftain and the Echoing Fury. It's just very hard now to keep your shouts. Basically impossible on a single target anyways, and even in good density, it's basically also not possible without further support. So we've been trying the Rage of Harrogate unique here that we found. And this one reduces the cooldowns of all non-ultimate skills by 1.5 seconds on lucky hit. So Whirlwind's lucky hit is kind of okay, 23% per hit. So we can proc this quite a bit on elites, whenever we are fighting like multiple elites. On one elite it doesn't really work that well. But on multiple elites, together with our expertise, our 200 weapon, and just the bleed that we apply from normal rend, it definitely helps us a lot. And then there is a second option, and we are still like trying to figure out and see what's the best. It's the Disemboweled Rare Glyph. Whenever you kill a bleeding enemy, there's a 10% chance, and notice this is not unlocked yet, this is just a flat 10% chance, so you kill 10 enemies and you get 1 second cooldown reduction. And this is also a potential candidate to still make these perma-shouts, at least in like high trash situations, viable. We just have to see in the end how this turns out. And we will be testing a lot here in the next days. There is so many guides and just so many updates in general with these patch notes to go into. And I will be checking it all out. I will share my thoughts. I will see what's viable and which build is now the new top Barbarian build, because Whirlwind is pretty nerfed, and we will just have to see how this evolves. I know many people are not so happy with these changes, and I 100% agree. I feel you. I understand that this is frustrating, just starting out the character. But the game just came out, and I think it's a very good sign that Blizzard has already been very swift of addressing the issues that a lot of people in the community raise. And also just nerfing the overall power creep of the game a little bit. And I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially because we don't really want to be clearing the hardest content like instantly after a few days. I don't think personally the game should be like that. I think there should always be something to aim towards too, and the end game should have the depth that this is not taking a few days. So even though also a lot of other classes got hit, it's not just the Barb that got nerfed here. Specifically, Rogue, Twisting Blades has been overperforming, has been brought down a bit. Damage reduction has been nerfed across the board. Not only on Challenging Shout, but on multiple skills. But yeah, overall, we really have to see what this is gonna turn into long term. And I'm really excited for this. Stay tuned, I have a lot more videos coming, testing it all and going into all of it. Take care, everybody. Rob26 over and out. Bye bye.